Black and white photography can be the most timeless, dramatic, and most effective way of telling an emotive story. You can create strong, dramatic images far more powerful than their colourful counterparts. But to do that well, you need to understand how to create contrast. And these are just my opinions. If colour isn't the point of your image, then what is? Well, for black and white photography, it's all about texture, patterns, graphic elements like lines and shapes, and light. For me, the most important elements that help us create dramatic black and white photography are contrast and story. If you can get the two together, perfect. In this video, I'm just talking about contrast. We'll talk about story another time. There's a reason to subscribe right there. Contrast of light is the big one for me, utilizing a full range of tones to create dramatic, rich black and white photos. Yeah, I just love light. The best examples are when I shoot people. These photos were shot as color images, so converting them to black and white, I've got a mess of similar shapes and tones, and I don't think this works so well. Well, that one's not too bad. There's nothing remarkable here because they weren't shot with intention, and I've made a video about that which is at the end of this one, so give it a watch. That's a really important topic and probably the best place to start when you're learning black and white photography. I like to use contrasting backgrounds to highlight and draw attention to my subject. Placing people with light skin on a dark background is the best example of this, which I do all the time. This is a starting point for me if I have a natural source of light, like a window. With stronger side lighting or backlighting, things get more contrasty and more interesting. The skin color of my subject doesn't matter so much now, as I'm able to sculpt with light and create plenty of contrast to make the image pop. Again, with this photo, there's a lot going on. There's a bit of separation with the shallow depth of field, but still a lot of little shapes and tones all over the place. It's a little bit on the busy side. It's not the best portrait, I know, but I'm including it because it was the first portrait I shot with my new Leica Q2 monochrome camera. I'd only had the camera a week and went out for a walk with my friend David here to do some photography. David was the managing director of Leica UK and was the guy responsible for putting Leica back on the map in the UK. When we were out that day, I happened to mention to him that my camera doesn't have a Leica logo on it to draw attention, and I really love that. He told me that was his idea. He's the guy responsible for some Leicas not having logos on them. I just thought that was a fun fact to share. One of the most popular uses of contrast is in a certain type of street photography. A lot of people look for a composition on the street with lots of shadow and one area of a beam of light coming through onto a sidewalk or something, and they wait for somebody to walk into the light to grab the shot. Now, I don't have any examples to show you because I don't do that type of street photography. I find that type of shot very cliched and overdone, and I prefer my street photography to focus on story. Although I love doing something similar at night with street lights and building lights to illuminate people. It's the same principle. You're using the bright area to draw attention to your subject. The other way I've brought contrast of light into street photography or travel photography is using an off-camera speed light. That's really effective. This shot was photographed on a street in Cuba in bright midday light. I wanted to create some contrasty light that would achieve two things. I wanted to darken the distracting background and put the focus on the lightest area of the composition, which is where the story starts. Now, I could chat for hours, but I'm going to bore you, so I'm going to wrap things up. The last thing I want to mention is shadows can play a really important part in effective, contrasty black and white photography. A lot of people don't like doing color photography in bright midday sun, but it's the opposite with black and white photography. You can use harsh shadows to work to your advantage. in the previous shots I showed you were controlling the midday light, but you can actually choose to work with it. This was a snap that I took the other day. It's nothing exciting, it's really just to highlight my point. This is a flat, boring image, but when the bright sun comes out from behind a cloud, the shadow it casts brings things to life and creates a more interesting image with a bit more contrast. We could probably do a separate video just on shadows too. But for now, take a look at this video on intention. That's probably the best place to start your black and white journey. Thanks for watching.